Hey guys, and welcome to the VFX Show, the show on the internet that teaches you how to do visual effects for your next film. And today, I'm going to teach you how to make a moon inside of 3ds Max. Now, this is just a simple moon, and I'm not going to actually model it because there's a few tricks that I learned in 3ds Max where you don't even have to model this. It's all through just simple displace nodes or modifiers. So let's get right into it. So here I have my simple moon. I mean, it doesn't look like the moon, but it looks like a moon. So you can just model any type of moon that you want. Okay, so let's just go in here and just hide all that. And we're going to add in a sphere. Just a simple sphere. Also, I'm going to delete these lights just for fun. Excuse me. And in here, we're going to switch over to edge faces mode so we see how many faces we have. Now, we're going to move this up to about like a mid-high poly like model. So about there will be fine. And then I'm going to just change the color to it to like a moon color, like a white or a gray. Okay, I'm going to take this out of edge faces mode. Now, the next thing we're going to do is add something called a turbo smooth, and of course, you probably have used this before. Now, we're going to do a little trick here, just because in your computer, if you lift this up to iterations to make it look good, it's just not going to work smoothly, so we're going to have to use render iterations here soon. But first we're just going to start off with one iterations, not irritations. Okay, so we're going to go and add a displace modifier to this moon, where it's in the D's, it's in the D's, it's in the, there it is. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is change the map type to spherical, which will make it a perfect sphere around your object. And you have these two options here. You can either add a map or a bitmap. I'm going to add a map. So let's go in here and let's find ourselves let's use dent. Let's do the first one as dent. We're going to hit M, and what we're going to do here is add the dent over here as an instance. So anything that we mess with over here messes with over there. Now, as you can see, nothing's happening. That's because strength is not up, so we're going to bump that strength a little bit. So as you can see, we get a little bumpiness to your moon, and that will just add some texture around your moon, and this is why we're adding dent. Now we can mess with the size and see how if we want like little tiny bumps or like larger bumps, and I think I'm just gonna go around there, and that seems about good. That just adds a little bit of unevenness to your moon, and it just makes it look pretty cool. Now, we're going to add another displace. So let's add one more displace. And we're going to add a map to this as well, but this is going to be cellular. Drag it over here, make it an instance. Then what we'll do is make this spherical again and up the strength. Now you can see what we're doing. But instead of that, I think what we're going to do is make it negative. Okay, to make it negative. So that looks pretty gnarly. So I'm going to increase the spread of this. And I'm also going to go into our irritations and bring that up to 2 just to see what we're doing more. So, and as you can see, we can make like a golf ball looking effect. And this is how we're going to make the craters. Now, at first, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this moon a little bit more shaven off. So it's just going to make it look more uneven. So we're just doing something like that, which is a pretty good looking base moon right there. Now to add another displace, and we'll call this the initial, the smaller crater displacement. So we'll add that displace again, and we'll add another cellular, bring it over here, and bring down the strength, and make sure it's spherical. Now we're going to make the larger craters, sorry, not the smaller craters. We're going to make the larger craters first. So how you do that is you decrease the spread, right? And then bring up the size. And then bring down the strength so we know that we're doing something here. Actually, we can change this to fractal and see what we get here. And this is really just making something that looks decent. Let's take it off of fractal for a second. Let's see what we're doing. Okay, so we're displacing a lot of it still, so I feel like we're affecting too much of it. Huh. Okay, there we go. We're going to bring up the size, then bring up the spread like that, just to get something, you know, sort of what you're looking for. And you can make those, like the strength of that, as deep as you want. And I think that's a pretty good deepness. And I will actually make these a lot larger, bring down the strength, just like so. So now we have that initial craters, like the big craters. And we could even make them bigger if we really wanted to. And then, yeah, okay. There we go. So we got some big craters on there. Now what we can do is add little tiny craters strung across the entire thing. So we're going to add one more displace, add a spherical, add another cellular cellular noise thing, map, whatever, and still make it circular. And let's bring down that strength so we know what we're doing, and then decrease the spread just like so. And I don't like, I mean, you could make them however small you want. Now we're going to add another iteration to the moon just to see what we're doing here. Okay, that's looking cool. That's looking really cool. Now you can add a fractal to this, but that it really, I forget how you even use fractal, but it just like adds more randomness to the cells. Now you can turn these to chips, which will make it look cracked. And if you go into your displacement, you can increase it like that, and it'll make your moon look cracked. I mean, if you like that effect, you can do that, but I don't like that effect. Like if you're making like a desert planet moon or something, you could do that. Now let's decrease those. And now we got a pretty cool looking moon. Now you can make like medium-sized moons like this, like medium-sized craters like this, and then add another displace. Let's just do that. Let's add one more displace, make it spherical, add a cellular, you know the drill, and bring it over to an instance. And bring down the strength, And go into our cellular, bring down the size, and bring down the spread. And ooh, look at that. You can do little tiny ones. Right there, little tiny ones. Just all around. And that looks pretty good right there. That's a cool looking moon. Now, what we'll do is keep the iterations on the Turbo Smooth at 3, but we're going to take the render iterations to 4. That's just going to make it render at 4 and make it look 3. So you can actually bring this down while like in a scene, so you don't actually have to see the full detail. You don't really have to. It's just a circle. I mean a sphere. So it's not really important to see the whole thing. Now to texture this, I did a texture before, and it was essentially, I found this watercolor texture online that looks like that, and it looked moon-like to me. Like it's really just like a white dusty looking thing to me. So it actually, whenever I put it on the moon, it looked pretty similar to a like a moon texture. And I can bring down the diffuse here, but what I did was make sure the diffuse was white, so you get like a white moon with some, you know, some dust on there, which looks pretty good. Now what we can do is add some lights, and I'm using V-Ray, but you can use any renderer of your choice. Make a little thing over here. Let's bring down the brightness just a tad. And hit render. It's going to transform the vertices, so just makes it more high quality. Now it has this little line through it. That's just because the texture. So let's actually put a UV map on this and make it spherical so we don't see that. I mean, you'd probably, you know, if you're texturing something, you want to make the texture seamless. It's looking pretty good, but it's low detail, and I think that's because in my texture here, I put it as a bump map, and it didn't look good, I remember. So if I render this again, now I think what we're getting here is these really high detailed bumps from the first displace map, and we don't want those. So let's go into that. Let's find that dent, which map 11. And first of all, let me see if that is actually the problem. So if I just mess it around here in a bit, let's see if that, you know, changes the moon up anymore. Yeah, so it is the dent's fault. I think what we can actually do here for the dent is bring down the strength in the map, and bring up the size, just like so. There you go, it's not as sharp anymore. And you can mess with the settings as much as you want to get the desired effect. Now, I think what we'll do is add another, like a noise on top of all of it. And this is just a simple, noise. It's just displace, but with only noise. And it's just less things to worry about. So let's bring up the strength of all the accesses just by a little bit. Bring, ooh, perfect. Okay, just bring it down just a little bit. Just to make everything a little bit more uneven. And let's see what that does. Doesn't make it look great. Let's actually change it to fractal and see what happens. Okay, that makes it look a lot better. Now I'm just going to make sure that there's not that much strength on all ends, and just see, just because that's just supposed to make it a little bit more bumpier, make it more uneven. Like that. There you go. And you can just use this to refine it, refine your moon in any way you want. It's not a hard thing. I mean, you can, obviously, if you want to make a custom one completely, you can model it yourself, but this is just quicker. And also, if you have to make multiple moons for a project, you can honestly just go into these displace maps and go in here and, or go into your cellular, go into your cellular here, go into any of them, and just change up a few settings, like the size or the spread, really anything, or making it fractal or not, or the thresholds, or even the colors, and you can change it up a lot. Like, as you can see, that changed up the moon style hardcore. So it really is a really fun effect, and learning how to do this is pretty, like, a really good idea for 3ds Max. So you don't always have to 3D model everything. You can just use textures and some noise maps and a displace, and you really got yourself a nice looking moon pretty quickly. I mean, it took about 10 minutes, really. I know it says 19 minutes on the time code, but just calm down. Okay, so that's how you make a moon. Thank you, everybody. Sorry I haven't released anything in a while for the VFX show, but hopefully more to come soon. Thank you, and have a good day.